Should I be one of those evil urban explorer types who sneaks around? The barkeeps, oh, jogger. See a jogger? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I got you to the totem pole. There's the Hoover Tower. Unfortunately, you can't see the hills on either side of the valley. These two towers you see to your left and your right, they were once a structure like the Arc de Triomphe, which was damaged in the 1906 earthquake and then never rebuilt. Perhaps it's just as well in that from the photographs I've seen of the past, it looks kind of, I don't know, hideous. And here's a plaque, or maybe not a plaque, but some carving in stone saying it's a memorial arch. And people looking at it would say, well, what arch are they referring to? Well, the arch which was damaged and then demolished after the '06 earthquake. Let's go look inside the courtyard here a little bit. Yeah, pretty quiet, but that's the way I like it. Palm trees for those of you who live in a cold climate and don't often see such things. Coming along, we're gonna have the Burghers of Calais over to our left, a famous collection of Rodin sculptures. And actually, over at the Art Museum, they have a huge collection of Rodins, which maybe I'll show you in the future if anyone's interested in that. Now, I myself was born in the Stanford Hospital, a building which is now called the Hoover Pavilion. And so yeah, I got my start on this campus here. For many years, my father worked at Stanford University, and as a result of one of his fringe benefits, Stanford actually paid my college tuition. Not here at Stanford. I didn't have the grades to get in, the Burghers of Calais, but as a fringe benefit from my dad working here, the university did pay the tuition for my college, which was very nice of them, and I do appreciate that. I worked at Stanford for 4 years, actually. It was the Pilot Safety Lab, Stanford University School of Medicine. And I'm not an MD, I'm not a PhD, but I am a certified flight instructor. And what they were working with was pilots. And so I had a wealth of knowledge which wasn't possessed by either the PhDs or the MDs, and therefore I felt that I had something to offer which they didn't have. And so it was a wonderful experience. It wasn't like a hierarchy, it was more like a community. And I had something critical to offer, which was wonderful. And I got to co-author several scientific papers, which again was just a marvelous experience. And so, if you ask me, yeah, I do love Stanford. I love this place. I think it's wonderful. If I had a son or daughter who wanted to come here, and they really wanted to, well, that would be great, but there are misconceptions of Stanford University that I'd like to explore if I could in a few minutes. In some ways, it's not everything that many people believe it is. I think the first and perhaps most prevalent misconception about Stanford is that all of the students here are all just deliriously happy. And in many, many cases, yeah, that's probably true, but not in all cases. I've talked with many students who have told me, you know, Gordon, back at my old high school, I was really something. I was class valedictorian. I was captain of the high school football team. When I walked down the hallway, all of the girls just fell silent in awe and admired me as I just went along. Now, here I get to Stanford University, and you know what? I am no more than average. And so I worked so hard to get to a place where apparently there's nothing all of that special about me. And that's the first time that I've experienced that. Another very, very common misconception about Stanford is that all of the graduates are assured upper middle class existence at the very least. You know, the late model BMW with 550 horsepower and the beautiful house and the beautiful yard and the beautiful husband or wife, the beautiful dog, the beautiful kids, all of that. This may surprise many of you, but I know a number of Stanford grads who are struggling not to pay the monthly payments on the Ferrari, but just to maintain a middle-class existence. And I know a few Stanford graduates who are struggling just to keep their heads above the water, so to speak. And that's a difficult thing for anyone. So I think it's added difficulty to somebody who has a Stanford degree because most people seem to expect more. Coming right along here, kind of coming to the Green Library, which is one of my favorites. And so there's that to consider as well. Another thing is people sometimes have this feeling that if you have the Stanford degree, once you're out, whether you're at the cocktail party or in the boardroom, your opinion is really going to count for something. I mean, more than the average person. Not true. Maybe it's just that in the Silicon Valley, so many people are so highly qualified and so accomplished. But once you get out into the real world, of course, having the degree from Stanford University is really nice, but it's not the end all, it's not the be all. I've had a number of flight students who themselves were PhD students in computer science or other sciences, and oftentimes they were frustrated because to actually get the PhD often took a lot longer than they had anticipated, and they were anxious to get out into the real world. Anyway, the sun hasn't quite come up yet, but isn't this sort of remarkable when you stop and think about it? Here we are, just sort of walking around, having a look at things, and it's ours. Do you see any security guards around? I don't. Do you see any early morning joggers about? I don't see that as well. I tell you what, I have an idea, just for fun. Let's continue our walk along and see how long it takes us to find another human being. Now, when I was an employee here, they let me take classes free of charge, and I did take a number of classes, which was a wonderful experience. That over there is the Stanford University School of Education, and yeah, I took actually several classes there. One in Russian history, which always kind of stuck with me. It was a wonderful experience. You've got these little courtyards in here, which are actually quite lovely. Well, you know what? This could be like the first day of the zombie apocalypse, in that, where is everybody? There was a Charlton Heston movie I watched when I was a boy, where he was essentially the last man on Earth, with the exception of a number of zombies. And so he'd go out in the middle of the day and he wouldn't see another living soul, but then there would be, excuse me, non-COVID cough, he would find a number of different zombies hanging around. That's kind of the newer bell tower, which houses the original mechanism for the bell tower, or the clock tower, which was in the church. And then that clock tower in the church was destroyed and never rebuilt after the '06 earthquake, which really left its mark on it. And that is the original clockwork for the type. It's not running today, which is strange because it's normally running. And it looks like somebody left some trash in there. I see an old box and Clorox bottle. I mean, looks like a mop in there. Well, come on, people. This is Stanford University. This is supposed to be the best of the best. Why don't you clean up your junk? Over to the left is the bookstore. I'll show that to you sometime. And it's kind of a funny story. You see, I am so old. Oh yeah, engineering building, built 1902, if you could see it up there. Well, I'm not that old, but what'll often happen these days is I'll talk with Stanford University engineering majors, and, I'll talk with Stanford University computer science majors, and I'll say, you know, I am so old that I remember when the Stanford University bookstore used to sell slide rules. And they'll say, that is a very interesting story. But what's a slide rule? And I'll explain it's what we used before we had electronic pocket calculators and iPhones with mathematics applications. And they'll usually say, you know, describe what a slide rule looks like. And they'll usually say, no kidding! My grandpa has one of those. And I always wondered what he used it for. I mean, what was its purpose? Anyway, walking right along, looking for another human being. Will we find a security guard? Will we find anyone at home? I've been coming to this campus all my darn life, which has been about, I don't know, half the total history of the university when you get right down to it. And I don't think I've ever seen it this quiet before. We're coming around to the back of the church. This is the back of the church right here, and Jane Stanford really put her all into that church. She, you know, the really super duper big old fancy clock tower was pretty much destroyed in the earthquake and never rebuilt. That earthquake must have been some experience. So let me come around here, and I am going to show you the cornerstone, Stanford University. When the university celebrated its 100th year, they opened up that cornerstone because it contains like a hollow section with a time capsule in it, and they let people sign their names to a big old book, which was then encased back in there for posterity. And so my name's actually in there. I signed it. The exterior of the church, perhaps I'll take you in there sometime. Looking for other people. I should title this YouTube video Stanford University, Where is Everybody? Okay, coming up on a little meditative area here, and it says, for the troubled, may you find peace. For the despairing, may you find hope. For the lonely, may you find love. For the skeptical, may you find faith. Oh, I don't think I agree with that last one at all. I say, for the skeptical, remain skeptical. Remain doubtful. It's very, very important. So I said that I was going to show you the cornerstone of the university. Yes, I will do that. Front of the church, and these things that you see along here are plaques which contain time capsules underneath them. So this is from the early 1900s, the early 20th century is right there. So that would be from the class of 1913 would be there. And each year at graduation, they essentially put a time capsule under there, and the students decide when they want their time capsule unearthed, so they could do it on their 25th or their 30th or their 50th reunion or whatever. And I said I was going to show you the cornerstone of Stanford University, the first stone laid in the university, and here it is. It's sort of hard to read, but it says Leland Stanford Junior University, May 14th, 1887. Yeah, it's not a junior university like a junior college, but there was Leland Stanford Sr. and his wife who put up the money for their child, Leland Stanford Jr., who died early, only about the age of 14. And all of this was built as a memorial for him. In the museum, which perhaps I'll take you sometime if anybody has any interest in seeing that, they have some of the family artifacts, and some of them are like really macabre. They're like Addams Family stuff. They have a death mask of the boy, Leland Stanford Sr. So after he died, suddenly and unexpectedly, they piled plaster of Paris on his face for some reason to make a mold of it. They've got the ears of one of their favorite race horses. They've got this sterling silver encrusted hoof, horse's hoof, which once belonged to one of their prize horses, and that's really weird. Of course, the really creepy stuff that I remember from when I was a boy, they've took off display. At one time, the Stanfords made a trip to Egypt, and being in Egypt, they wanted to have some souvenir, some memento of it, and so they brought back an actual mummy, you know, in the sarcophagus with the hieroglyphs and, you know, the stuff wrapped on it, and it was just really, really kind of freaky. And as a kid, I just thought it was a really wild thing. Well, I didn't think we'd go this long before meeting another human being. So why don't we just see if we can find, and I mean, I don't know, getting down to the physics area here. I'm just sort of wondering if we can find anyone alive. Perhaps if we do, we could interview them and say hello. Well, I'll show you something really kind of weird here that I remember from some years ago when I was young. Younger. I still like to think I'm young. But I'm going to show you something weird up here. What it is, I don't know, a memorial, a statue, a sign of support for LGBT students. So this was in the days when it wasn't really acceptable to be gay or lesbian or whatever. So they built this, like, I don't know, monument to make you feel better. Hey, I think I saw, did you see it? I think I see a guy on a bicycle over there. How about that? Another human being, but he's not close enough for me to hail. So anyway, there's this thing here, and it seems totally unnecessary now, because around these parts, being gay or transgender or whatever is pretty much like being left-handed. Does anybody build a monument for left-handed people? Ooh, there's Hoover Tower in the background. If anyone's interested, sometime we'll take you to a visit up there. What does it say here? It says, I think the name of the artist, and this says 1980, Gay Liberation, painted bronze, please do not touch. Well, okay. I am a big believer in following the rules, so we're not going to touch. But let's meet these two guys over here. It looks like there's two nice young ladies here, but we'll meet these two guys right here and say, hi guys, how would you describe your experience here at Stanford University? Gordon, it's really great. I just love being a Stanford student. It's absolutely fantastic. How do you feel about being a Stanford student here? You know, pretty good. It's all right. Yeah, I guess I'd recommend it. Anything else either one of you would like to say? No, not really. We're just having a good time. We're just hanging out here like we have been since 1980, which is the last 41 years now. Oh, okay, guys. Well, you take care. Yeah, look it. It's come to a pretty sad state. You see, I'm so lonely that already I am talking to statues. Now, one thing which will, I suppose, seem odd if anybody's watching from Cambridge or Oxford or any of those really, really like old places, but when I was a boy growing up in Palo Alto, there were actually people in town who remembered California before cars, before electric lights, before any of those modern conveniences. And there were even people who remembered when this university was being built. Okay, there's some guy up there, or a bust of somebody, and I think I see somebody. We're coming around towards the oval, and yes, I definitely see a white van being driven along. So there's, this is blocked off for construction. So there's definitely signs of life. Anyway, let's continue on our track. Oh, a map of the university. Oftentimes, as a flight instructor, I fly people from Palo Alto Airport out to the coast and back. And we'll look down at Stanford University, and from the air, it's very easy to see. And one thing that I'll say when flying along is you can see Stanford University very easily because of the red brick roofs, or the red tile roofs. You see the red tile roofs there, the mission style? And from the air, it stands out quite clearly. And so oftentimes, I'll have a tourist say to me, oh, well, why are the roofs at Stanford red? And well, the answer is they're made of the clay, just like the same sort as the missions of old California. And the red color is just simply the color of the tile, the color of the clay. And once yeah, they're doing a lot of work there. Once I sort of got tired of saying that, and so I said to some people, just sort of being flippant, oh, well, the red represents the bloodshed during the American Civil War. And they nodded and smiled and were very, very happy with that answer, although it was just totally, completely off the wall. It seemed to make them happy. There is something else I should say about these buildings right here that you're looking at. There's more down there that look very impressive. I don't know quite how to put this, but they're fake. And by that I mean the only original part is the exterior sandstone walls and the foundation. A number of years ago there was a big construction project, and one by one they went through each one of those buildings, not all at once, they did it in sections, and they would essentially gut the inside. Then the internal structure they would build entirely new, so it was reinforced and earthquake proof, or at least earthquake resistance. A really big one will pull any of them down. And the earthquake proof, and then it has air conditioning and modern lights, and it has plugins for your computer and internet access and all whatnot. So it really isn't that new. In the distance, I'm seeing some cars, but oh, I see a jogger. I see, it looks like another man doing stretching exercises. So we are coming to places. There's my little red BMW, which I drove in on. You know what? I have a complaint about the Silicon Valley, and this actually, I guess, holds true maybe for the United States of America. But when you drive around the Silicon Valley, it seems that 99% of the time, or 95% of the time, there are 4 different colors for automobiles. And those colors are black, white, gray, and silver. And then anything else is totally different. I mean, you know, it's totally really stands out. Oh, it looks like they have some sort of construction fence around this little garden I really like, because the little garden has Native American totem poles, which actually I just love, but it appears to be closed off for construction. You might get as far as the Hoover Tower here, but I don't know if there's anyone who we're going to be able to get close enough to actually interview. I've never known this campus to be so quiet. Oh, just a second. Just a second. Dare I do it? That critter on top, I think, is supposed to be an owl. And this guy, is that a hawk or a chicken or what? That guy may be a man. This guy, I don't know. What is... Sir, what are you? I mean, I can't quite make it out. Are you a cow or what? Let's see what it says here. Canadian guy. This is a nunchuck totem pole, thunderbird with wings outstretched. Okay, that's a thunderbird. Towers overhead. He is perched on top of a raven. Okay, like Edgar Allan Poe. The creator of the earth. I didn't know that. Light and consciousness. Raven's wings encompass the headdress of Bu Quinn, a person of knowledge, wisdom, and achievement. Legend affirms this ancestral human is the raven's most prized creation, who is challenged with the safeguarding of knowledge and the preservation of the earth. At the base, a supernatural killer whale transforms into a wolf. This creature possesses magical healing powers which aids humankind. Okay, so apparently this thing that I wasn't able to identify is then a killer whale who's in the process of transforming himself into a wolf, and he has magical healing powers. I have a really nasty canker sore right now. I wonder if you could do anything about that. Oh my gosh. Okay, Hoover Tower is part of the Hoover Institution, which is actually independent from the university, and it's a think tank which is supposed to promote world peace. There's a presidential, whatever you call it, library memorial here for Hoover. Herbert Hoover, a guy who has sort of an unfair rap because he happened to be president when the economy collapsed, and so a lot of people just really don't like him too much because they figure that he was somehow responsible. I don't know if he was or not. Herbert Hoover was both President of the United States of America, and he was also President of Stanford University. So let's look at his tower. There's the base, And drum roll, please. Dum 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 dum. There it is, the observation deck up there. When I was a kid, we used to go to the top and we'd like throw off squirt guns and stuff like that, and then see if we can find them once we got back down on the ground. See if the squirt gun survived the plummet to Earth. That's Memorial Auditorium there. There's a local Palo Alto boy who died in World War I. It's a memorial for World War I, named Alan Nichols, and his name is in there. I'd like to talk to him about him later again if anyone has any interest. And the thing about Stanford is it's big, and we just went on a very brief walk, and what I showed you was just a very small amount, and perhaps, you know, I don't know if anyone's going to watch this thing or not. I mean, it's sort of hard for me to imagine anyone would find it particularly interesting, but if anyone says, Gordon, show me the observation deck of Hoover Tower, show me the interior of the Stanford Church, show me the Stanford Linear Accelerator Center, show me the Cantor Museum. If anyone posts any messages down below with anything like that, yeah, sure, I'll go out and do it, because you know, what the heck? What else do I have to do? I mean, it's not like I have a life or anything. I'm so darn socially isolated that I'm walking around a deserted campus and I'm talking to myself. I mean, I'm sorry, but how sad is that? What kind of pathetic creature have I turned into? Oh well, at least I'm a pathetic creature who owns a bright red convertible BMW little sports car 2001 330 Ci, which I bought new in the year 2001, and which now has well over 200,000 miles on it, and I am hoping to get it enough, you know, past 230,000 miles so that it will qualify as a moon car. That's the distance from the Earth to the moon. I see another person there, a jogger. No one close enough to interview, but you know, whatever. So here we go. You know, those two guys you see over the buildings, I think I once knew who they were, but I once knew their names, but I don't anymore. When the 1906 earthquake hit, both of them were knocked from their pedestals, and one of them ended up, like, you know, perfectly upside down, like he was a diver diving into a pool, with his head and shoulders just stuck in the asphalt, the concrete, his feet pointing up in the air. And one of the professors, I can't remember the name, and I don't think it would be significant anyway, but one of the professors said, oh, so-and-so is always better in the theoretical than he was in the concrete. Here's the Stanford Oval. I see one lone jogger going along, but I don't want to interview him because clearly he's out there doing his thing. Doesn't want to be interviewed by the likes of me coming along. I think that's like a gardener working out there, and I think that's like a guy taking pictures. Anyway, here's the BMW, not bad for 200,000 miles plus. And I don't know if anybody watched this video, but what the hell. If you did, I hope you enjoyed it. And well, this is Gordon signing off. Bye now.